Tom Homan is issuing a serious warning to AOC and to Michelle Wu, the mayor of Boston, and to Letitia James and anyone else who wants to stand in the way of ICE doing its job. You see, Michelle Wu does not like, this is the mayor of Boston, that the ICE agents sometimes wear masks on their raids. And she's got such a problem with this that she came out with a really heinous statement this week. I mean, beyond heinous. I can't imagine, like, the left gets away with so much. If anybody on the right ever said anything like this, oh, there would be HELL to pay. But it's like it didn't even happen. Nobody picked up on this, except for maybe yours truly right here, noticing what Michelle Wu, this mayor of Boston, who's off her rocker, she starts to actually equate ICE agents with a really heinous, like seriously heinous group, cult. I'm going to let her and the reporter say it. Because you know what? I don't even want these words coming out of my mouth. This woman is a disgust. She's a disgrace. Let her say it.
I don't know of any police department that routinely wears masks. We know that there are other groups that routinely wear masks. NSC 131 routinely wears masks.
Mayor, just to clarify, are you comparing ICE, you said, to NSC 131, the neo-Nazi group? Are you comparing them to a neo-Nazi group?
What I said is that Boston Police and no police department that I know of at the local level routinely wears masks.
I'm pretty sure you just said that. I mean, you can try and walk back your words. Did you think that people didn't know what the group was? Maybe that's it. But the reporter knew. Once again, Mayor Wu.
I don't know of any police department that routinely wears masks. We know that there are other groups that routinely wear masks. NSC 131 routinely wears masks.
Mayor, just to clarify.
Woo! Woo woo. Mayor Wu. I mean, how is that okay? They're trying to equate ICE with like heinous cults. Like, what the heck is going on? I mean, ICE is the federal government that's there to protect us, and they're trying to arrest criminals, for goodness sakes. Homan has no use for this lady.
It is disgusting. And a lot of our congressional representatives who are vilifying ICE and the Border Patrol every day, they're driving this hate. And I'm telling you, it's only a matter of time before there's an incident where an ICE agent is going to have to take a life or an ICE agent is going to lose a life. I mean, here's the truth. Under President Trump, since he's been back, let me tell you what ICE and the Border Patrol has done. They gave us the most secure border in the history of this nation. Fentanyl trafficking is down over 50%, which means we're saving lives from overdose deaths. Sex trafficking, women and children, is down significantly. Migrant death, over 4,000 aliens died making the journey. They're not dying because they're not coming. Americans, 250,000 Americans died from fentanyl. Like, again, fentanyl is under half of what was coming across. President Trump saving lives. The men and women of ICE are saving lives every day. And if you look at the numbers don't lie. Majority of people ICE is arresting are criminal illegal aliens, public safety threats. And the non-criminals, most of them are scooped up in sanctuary cities. The world's upside down when the guy that carries them badge and guns, the bad guy, and the ones who break the law are the victims. It's just terrible. It's upside down. It's just incredible.
You better believe it's upside down. Right? When the mayor of Boston cares so little of the residents that actually live there, that she's making those kinds of comparisons. And you know she's not alone. I mean, you had La Monica. It's operatic. Out there in New Jersey recently with her big red, blazer, pushing her body up against the ICE agents to the point where they actually made the decision to arrest her because she was assaulting federal officers, and AOC's all mad about it. Like, don't you touch my people, don't you touch La Monica.
If anyone's breaking the law in this situation, it's not members of Congress, it's the Department of Homeland Security. It's people like Tom Homan and Secretary Kristi Noem. You lay a finger on them, we are going to have a problem.
Yeah. I mean, just for the record, I mean, she seems to be a little more aggressive than you'd think, right? A little more, just a little more aggressive than you'd think. And I think this is becoming increasingly a problem. I'll tell you though, Tom has no use for AOC. We know that. And you know, it's just that she's this young, naive idiot. And, you know, she's out there trying to threaten him. People like Tom Homan, I'll tell you, you do this, you do that. He's like, yeah, you bring it on, honey bunny. I am a lot older than you. Like, I was doing this before you were born.
You can't intimidate me. Come on, give me a break. You know, I was enforcing him. I was wearing a green.
Okay, small aside. Tapper. Look at the look on his face. It's like he's severely constipated or something. Maybe too many things on his book tour.
Uniform Border Patrol agent for 5 years before she was even born. I had more than 3 decades enforcing immigration law before she became a member of Congress. I worked for 6 presidents. I've seen policies. I've seen hundreds of policies. Some worked, some didn't. But you can't deny the success of the Trump administration when it comes to border security. Again, the most secure border in the history of this nation. And I said from day one, and she knows this, you can not support ICE. Shame on you. You can support sanctuary cities. Shame on you. But you can't cross the line. You can't knowingly impede ICE law enforcement officers. That is a felony. You can't harbor and conceal, knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from ICE. That is a felony. And you certainly can't commit criminal trespass. You know, and as far as New York, her district, this administration has done more to protect her district than she has. The number of criminal aliens we took off the streets of New York made her community much safer. She ought to be thanking the members of this administration, the men and women of ICE, who protect this country and make her community safer. So, you know, it's politics over public safety. It's just ridiculous. She ought to love her community more than she hates Trump, because we're doing a lot to protect her community.
Yeah. But you see, she wants more people coming into her community. Let's just call it what it is, all right? Let's call it what it is. Homan has done this before. We played this clip for you yesterday. Remember where he said there's a reason why they were putting up in hotels in New York as opposed to getting an ice bed? Because in an ice bed, you know what? You'd actually go through the process. They'd say, oh, you're applying for asylum. Well, you don't qualify for asylum. So guess what? Here's your plane ticket home, out of here. So they would deport them immediately. Whereas if you went and you stayed at the Roosevelt Hotel where you got daily maid service, I mean, come on. I want daily maid service. Did it come down with turn down? Come with turn down? I don't know. That would be twice daily maid service, I suppose. But they had daily maid service. They had little credit cards where they could go buy ethnically appropriate food because apparently they didn't like the food that the Roosevelt Hotel was serving that were upwards of $300. Mayor Adams got rid of those right away. So what was the thinking? Well, according to Tom Homan, they were bringing them all here for political reasons. This was a political takeover, you see, because the more people you have living in New York, well then, the more congressional representatives you would need, right? Even though you would think, hey, these people aren't actually here legally, therefore we don't need more representation for them. But that's not how they think about it. I mean, you think about AOC and how she had to stand up for her constituents. I'm like, your constituents, the people that vote for you are here legally, not all of these people. But no, they're all one and the same to her. New York, don't forget, they wanted 800,000 people that were non-citizens to be able to vote in state elections. The appellate court had to turn that one down. That went all the way up through the ranks. Thank goodness we got some adults in the room. But here's AOC saying, you gotta resist. If ICE comes, here's what you gotta do. Of course, she can't speak Spanish. Yo hablo español. I speak Spanish, funny enough, but she can't. I speak a lot of languages. It's the singing background. Anyway, here she is.
Principle number 1 in what you can do is that when one of these things comes to your backyard,
Whoa. When one of these things comes to your backyard, do you see what's going on here? A dehumanization of ICE agents. With Michelle Woo out in Boston making her comments. And now AOC saying these things. You understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to dehumanize ICE, dehumanize federal officers. While Tom Homan says, careful here because somebody's going to get hurt on either side. And we don't want that. We just want officers to be able to do their job. Let's go back and listen again to Ms. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
To your backyard, you can resist. And what that happens over millions of people is that you generate enough friction that they cannot go as fast as they want to go, okay? So I'm going to give you some examples that have already been working. Let's start with immigration and ICE. When people say, what can we do? In my community, we are a heavily immigrant community. ICE raids deeply affect and disrupt our community. So, number one, if you live in a community with a lot of immigrants, know your rights.
Blah, blah, blah. And then she goes on to say them. And of course, she can't speak Spanish. So she has to come out now with a post where she says, resist, resist. And then she says it in Spanish too. Okay, if you see ICE in public, here's what you do. You verify, you document, you share. And then it flips into Spanish. Si ves a ICE en público, y verificar, documentar, compartir. So this is her deal. And you know what? Homan would say she's impeding. She's impeding law enforcement. And he wants her arrested, investigated, and stopped. He has already requested this vis-a-vis Pam Bondi at the DOJ. I know, we're like, Pam, come on, Pam. Pam's got a tough job. We need like 100 Pams, okay? Because there's a lot to do. Anyway, AOC is worried, apparently so worried that she goes on to NPR, of course, you know, the place with the USAID money. She goes on to NPR and says, well, I'm waiting, I'm wondering. I think she's kind of hoping because she thinks that this will make her a bigger deal politically. I mean, look, she's in the wrong. She can't do what she's doing. She's trying to do this, again, for political purposes, to advance her name, and because she wants all these people coming here. Look, the law's the law. It stands as it stands. Homan knows this. Everyone knows this, except for people who are socialist political animals like this lady.
You had a recent dispute, if that's the right word, with Tom Homan, the president's Homeland Security czar, so-called. You held an online forum, a Know Your Rights forum, that he didn't like. What were you doing? What was your goal as you saw it?
My job is to educate and act as a liaison of critical information to my constituents. And I was informing all of my constituents of their constitutional protections, and in particular, their constitutional protections against illegal search and seizure in the United States.
Homan was upset, I suppose, because he felt that you were giving advice to people who were here illegally. Mm-hmm. Were you?
I was giving advice.
Okay, this is interesting, guys. Again, remember what I said about it doesn't matter if you're here illegally or not. As far as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is concerned, you are one of her constituents, you see, because she wants to get more people representing her district, ideally, in her view, more and more Democrats. Listen. And by the way, what's going on with the lighting there? She looks terrible.
All of my constituents. Yeah.
He said he was going to report you, or even that he did reach out to the Department of Justice. Have you heard from the Department of Justice?
I have not, and I intend on reaching out to the Department of Justice to inquire.
Really? What would your question be for the Department of Justice? Well,
there is a member of the Trump administration who is threatening and seeks to open an inquiry, and are you going to do it?
What would you learn? What do you hope to learn from that exchange?
I think it's important to know where this administration stands and if they intend on using political intimidation to silence their critics.
I'm sorry? Political intimidation? This is political intimidation. You want to talk intimidation? Let's just take a look at La Monica. That seems like intimidation. I mean, really. You know, that really seems more like intimidation. They were shouting like down with ICE, all these kind of anti-ICE slogans earlier in the day. And then, you know, this whole thing broke out because LaMonica wants to get in there. And so she starts forcing her physical person onto these ICE officers. And they're like, what? I mean, this is getting a little crazy because you know what? You guys don't have the right to do what you're doing. Okay, you want to go and look at the Delancey Center in New Jersey? You're welcome to do it, La Monica. Okay, but you have to make an appointment and do it the right way. You don't show up with a whole bunch of people and then start shouting and chanting and have ICE descend on things. And then ICE says, okay, you got to leave. And she's like, no, I'm not leaving. And she just pushes her way through forward. That is violating Title 18 U.S. Code Section 111A1 for assaulting, impeding, and interfering with law enforcement. Actually, carries up to 8 years in jail. And like, what do you think that was?
That woman was out of control. She was shoving federal agents. She was out of control. The days of that crap are over in this country. We're going to have law and order.
Yeah, law and order. Imagine that. That's actually what people voted for. And speaking of law and order, you know what? The Constitution says that the feds have the right through a whole bunch of things. There's a naturalization clause, there's a supremacy clause, there's a, here, I've got it on the screen for you. I mean, basically the naturalization clause, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4. Does somebody want to send this to La Monica? Does somebody want to send it to AOC? Because this is actually kind of important. It means that Congress has the power here. And if Congress has the power, then that would mean if you don't like the rules, well, then you as a congressperson, AOC, you need to change it. So you need to get rid of Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4, because it says the Congress shall have the power to establish a uniform rule of naturalization, which what do you think does? Gives Congress the authority, right, to determine who's going to become a citizen. And right now, the way that stands, we've gone through this as well. I've showed you the two qualifications to get amnesty. And it means you are politically being prosecuted or there's a religious prosecution. And guess what? Like, this stuff doesn't hold. You're coming in from Guatemala or El Salvador, and I get it. It's not so great there. But that doesn't necessarily qualify you for amnesty. This is the way the world works, okay? Like, we have laws for a reason. If you don't like the laws, then it's up to you to try and change them. So you've got that, you get the Commerce Clause, which I love, the Commerce Clause, because you can apply it almost to anything where, like you're the United States of America, okay? And this was how it was set up. What do you think Alexander Hamilton was thinking? Okay, you're going to be the United States, plural, united, there for a reason. So it means that you can't do one thing in California and something else entirely in the state of Texas, because there's financial transactions that go back and forth. And so immigration is being interpreted as something that is affected by the Commerce Clause, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3. And then you have, oh, Don, you love this stuff, right? I know, because he's a legal guy. Necessary and proper clause, one of our viewers here in the live chat. Necessary and proper clause, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 18, to make all laws which stand necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers. I mean, this is not that hard. This is not, I mean, Buddy Sanders, thank you for the generosity pointing out that LaMonica was getting kind of rough there, and you think that, oops, what happened there? Well, we were trying to put that on the screen, that she may have actually done that assault. Look, they've got more tape, and so we're waiting for ICE to release some additional tape, but I saw what you saw and it looked pretty uncomfortable. You have the Migration Importation Clause, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 1, constitutional basis for federal power over immigration. This goes all the way back to 1808. And then you have Foreign Affairs Clause, okay, this implied, or I should say implied powers clause. And this is something that has come up actually as recently as 2012 out in Arizona. And what did they decide? What did they decide? The feds have the power over immigration, naturalization, etc. So I don't know what these people are thinking. I really don't. Except now they're trying to make it like big bad Trump, big bad Trump. Well, big bad Trump is so bad, we have to physically, take up arms against him? Did you hear the latest out of Tim Walz? I know, Tampon Tim. I know we don't like to talk about him or even see him. And in this case, he's yelling into the microphone, and I'm sorry, I tried. I can't do anything about the audio. So it makes him more compelling in the sense that you know just how atrocious he really is. But anyway, Mr. Tim Walz kind of sounding a little like Michelle Wu and then some. It's like he wants people to take up arms, get violent. I don't know. Let's see how you interpret this. Let me know.
When it's adult like Donald Trump, you bully the out of him.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Tim Walz needs serious help. Listen.
Maybe it's time for us to be a little more fierce. Because we have to ferociously push back on this. And again, I'll speak to my teacher colleagues in here. The thing that bothers a teacher more than anything is to watch a bully, to watch this bully and to stop it. And when it's a child, you talk to them and you tell them why bullying's wrong. But when it's adult like Donald Trump, you bully the out of him back.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Democrat Party today. I mean, it is. That's the Democrat Party. It's from one of the shorts that we are publishing. I'm not sure if it went up already. I think it goes up over the weekend, so you guys got a sneak preview on my shorts feed. But I mean, this is, again, I think in keeping with the rhetoric that we're starting to see, which I actually find very alarming, okay? I find very alarming because I think about the sort of anti-Semitism type rhetoric that's been out there on college campuses, and then you look at what's happened both in Colorado, you look at what happened in Washington, D.C. recently, and then you have like politicians like this guy, he was nearly vice president of the United States. Scary thought, right? But calling for seemingly a really sort of bad scenario, on top of which you have Michelle Wu, AOC, trying to dehumanize ICE officers. I mean, Trump blows it off because he thinks the guy's a total idiot. Listen.
I think I would have won. Susie would say I would have won Pennsylvania easily anyway, even if the governor ran, the real governor, not the governor from Minnesota, he's a sick puppy, that guy. That poor guy, I feel sorry for him. But they made a bad choice with him.
They did. They made a terrible choice with Kamala Harris, right? But, you know, there wasn't a lot of choices to be made, you see, because they dug themselves into that hole pretty well. And now they're going to have to dig themselves out.